Shalom, my friends. Welcome to this week's newscast. Starting with Sunday, January 4th. ISIS militants captured 170 youths from 2 villages located in the Iraqi city of Kirkuk. Then there was a massacre in Libya of at least 18 people, 17 soldiers and 1 civilian, who were killed by a group of armed militants in an attack against a checkpoint in the central district of Jafra. Then on Monday, January 5th, the Al-Qaeda-linked militants Al-Shabaab claimed Sunday's deadly attack in Wabera district in the Somali capital of Mogadishu. The militants stated that their fighters carried out the attack in which 5 people, including the person who carried out the suicide attack, lost their lives. Then Islamist militants overran an army base in the remote northeast Nigerian town of Baga. Then on Tuesday, January 6th, Kurdish fighters advanced once more in the northern Syrian town of Kobani after heavy fighting with ISIS. At least 100 rebels were killed after a cross-border attack north of the capital Bujumbura against the Central African nation of Burundi from the Democratic Republic of Congo. And on Wednesday, January 7th, Nigeria's Boko Haram Islamist fighters carried out a second attack on the key northeastern town of Baga in a massacre of 2,000 people and nearly burned down the entire town. Then a car bomb exploded outside a police college in Yemen's capital, Sana'a, killing some 40 people and wounding more than 50 others. On Thursday, January 8th, illegal armed groups conducted 34 strikes using mortars, artillery weapons, and Grad multiple launch rocket systems against positions held by Ukrainian soldiers. The most intense shelling was observed near Donetsk. ISIS militants launched a major attack on Samarra, a city in Iraq's northern central province of Salahuddin. The attack occurred at dawn when 5 suicide bombers blew up their explosives-laden trucks near security checkpoints on a highway and at the western entrance of Samarra, some 120 kilometers north of Iraq's capital, Baghdad. And then on Friday, January 9th, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, that's AQAP, took responsibility on Friday for the attack on the Paris satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo. The terrorist shootings left 17 dead over several days of violence. More on that a little bit later. And on Saturday, January 10th, ISIS led an attack from 9 fronts on the town of Guer in Iraq in the early hours of the morning, which led to several hours of intense fighting with the Kurdish Peshmerga forces. 24 members of the local Kurdish security forces were killed. Then dozens of ISIS terrorists were killed on Saturday in shelling and battles in Anbar province west of the country. Most of the dead were killed by airstrikes launched by the International Coalition, which is led by the United States aircraft. This event prompted the organization to open an internal investigation. And on Sunday, January 11th, a 10-year-old female suicide bomber blew herself up in a crowded market in Nigeria, where at least 19 people were killed at the Monday market in the Borno state capital, Maiduguri, at a time when the market was packed with shoppers and traders. Then, more on Charlie in Paris, France. 3 black-clad gunmen shouting, "Allahu Akbar," stormed the Paris offices of the satirical publication known for lampooning Islam, killing 12 people, including its editor, 3 political cartoonists, and a police officer whose cold-blooded murder at close range was captured on a disturbing video. The masked shooters moved with military precision and then escaped. Charlie Hebdo is a Paris publication sought by ISIS for the 2011 caricature of Prophet Muhammad on its cover, and for recently tweeting a cartoon of Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. In cities across Europe and around the world, marchers have taken to the streets to support freedom of speech and to offer condolences to the citizens of France, many carrying signs reading, "We are not afraid," and "Je suis Charlie," meaning "I am Charlie." More than 40 European leaders, almost every French official, and more than 30 million people turned out for a massive unity rally in Paris on Sunday. But there was no sign of the United States. Neither President Obama nor Vice President Biden made the trip to Paris, even though dozens of other world leaders and officials put ceremony aside and jostled for space amid the crowds in a stirring show of support against terrorism. Add that to the bizarre statements from the U.S. promoting support for Islam, and one can only wonder. People often ask, where is America in Bible prophecy? Well, guess what? It isn't. We all think of the United States as the kingpin in the world because it's been so during our lifetimes, but we forget that 230 years or so is only a drop in the bucket compared to 6,000 years of world history. And the last time I looked, America is hardly the kingpin anymore. Ever since the late 60s, when the U.S. started looking at abortion as a single medical procedure and not as murder, things started going downhill. And now, good grief, we have a president who says we are not a Christian nation and who is turning America's back on Israel, ignoring Genesis 12:3, where Yahweh says, "I will bless those who bless Israel and curse those who curse Israel." Our world is rapidly changing, my friends. And that's the news for this week. Stay safe, and Abba willing, I'll see you here next week. Until then, shalom, my friends.
Crowded rooms, I need more space than I consume. Enough is time alone with you, underneath a naked moon, sharing confidential moods and making chatter. Mockingbird nocturnal sings notations of eternal things, entering the quantum breeze, flying not for want of wings. He lights his gaze on you and me, simply because we matter.